Psychologists and philosophers Timothy Leary and Robert Anton Wilson also theorized that human beings are imprinted upon throughout the various developmental stages, and their system borrowed from the Hindu chakra system and also the Kabbalistic tree of life. Leary and Wilson referred to the developmental stages as circuits that are activated or created, and their system shared similarities with that of Sigmund Freud's and also Erik Erikson's. In the Leary-Wilson model, the first circuit is referred to as the bio-survival circuit. This first circuit is imprinted by the mother or mothering object, and it's subsequently conditioned by either nourishment or threat. The second circuit is the emotional territorial circuit, and it is imprinted when the infant stands up, walks around, and begins to struggle for power within the hierarchy of the family. The third circuit is the time-binding semantic circuit, and it is imprinted by human symbol systems and artifacts. This is what controls the local paradigm. The fourth circuit is the socio-sexual circuit, and it is imprinted by the first orgasm mating experience and also tribal taboos. It processes sexual pleasure, definitions of right or wrong, reproduction, parental roles, and the raising of young. The fifth circuit is the neurosomatic circuit, and it is imprinted by ecstatic or spiritual experiences. The sixth circuit is the collective neurogenetic circuit, and it contains the entire evolutionary script, past, present, and future. This is Carl Jung's collective unconscious and also the realm of archetypes. The seventh circuit is the meta-programming circuit, and this is the realm of conscious reprogramming and re-imprinting of the other circuits. This is the level upon which the Re-Imprinting Yourself personal development program acts. This is you choosing to consciously re-imprint your unconscious mind through the application of symbols and internal imagery. Lastly, there is the eighth circuit in the Leary-Wilson model, and this is the non-local quantum circuit. This is the transpersonal. This is beyond the ego. This is the realm of out-of-body experiences and near-death experiences. As you've just heard, there's the possibility that imprinting may have occurred in any of those circuits.
Each of the 8 circuits of consciousness are divided into 3 subsections to allow for reception, integration, and transmission of information for each circuit. This means a total of 24 mini-circuits exists within this model, each of which have their own characteristics. It is thought that any individual can be pinpointed into one of these mini-circuits more so than any other. This is a clip from Dr. Leary's Neurocircuit comic book series further describing these mini-circuits. Now let's take a look at the characteristics of the 24 mini-circuits. We will start with the subsections of the first circuit and work our way up. The first circuit, the bio-survival circuit, is divided into sections known as the fetus, the infant, and the crawler. The fetal phase is described as a silent bliss floating safely in the womb. The infant phase is described as helpless and overwhelmed in a strange new world. And the crawler phase is described as having the first signs of curiosity. The second circuit, the emotional territorial circuit, can be described as having phases known as the walker, the taker, and the show-off. The walker has now accepted the new environment and mind-body space it inhabits. The taker then shows the first signs of desire and greed. Afterwards, the show-off shows the first signs of pride and ego. The third circuit is the symbolic or neurosemantic dexterity circuit and consists of 3 phases that can be best described as the copycat, the inventor, and the capitalist. It is the job of the copycat to imitate others to define what is acceptable to the self. The inventor then shows signs of real creativity first coming about, after which the capitalist then shows signs of desire to be successful in life. The fourth circuit is known as the domestic or socio-sexual circuit and consists of 3 phases that can best be described as the extrovert, the conservative, and the conformist. The extrovert has a desire to experience everything that life has to offer before becoming a conservative, realizing the preservation of life is paramount. This then leads into the conformist phase in which integration into environment and society is most important. The fifth circuit is the neurosomatic circuit, with phases described as the hedonist, the enlightened, and the connected. The hedonist has the desire for endless ecstasy, while the enlightened realizes that anything is possible, then becomes the connected with the realization that the universe and everything in it are one. The sixth circuit is the neuroelectric or metaprogramming circuit, with phases ranging from psychedelic to empowered to telepathic. The empowered captures the ability to use the full power of the mind. The telepath then feels the mental connection with all life. The seventh circuit is known as the neurogenetic or morphogenetic circuit and consists of three phases best described as the DNA translator, the immortal, and the alien. The DNA translator now has a new and complete understanding of life itself, which leads to the immortal with the ability to live forever and successfully avoid death. This then leads to the alien with the ability to explore every corner of the universe. Finally, we have the eighth circuit, the psychoatomic or quantum non-local circuit, with the three phases known as the subatomic, the physicist, and God mind. The subatomic now has a complete understanding of the universe and everything in it and how it works, to then become the physicist with the ability to manipulate anything and everything in the universe. This then takes us into the final phase of God mind, in which one realizes that all in the universe becomes one. I am now going to take the time to read through the Wikipedia page for the 8th Circuit model. The 8th Circuit model of consciousness is a transhumanist theory proposed by Timothy Leary and expanded upon by Robert Anton Wilson and Antero Ali. The model describes 8 circuits of information, 8 brains, that operate within the human nervous system. Each circuit is concerned with a different sphere of activity. The lower 4, the larval circuits, deal with normal psychology, while the upper 4, the stellar circuits, deal with psychic, mystical, enlightened, and psychedelic states of mind. These higher circuits are thought to have only recently evolved, with just a fraction of human beings using them. The higher the circuit, the fewer people have activated it. Leary describes the 4 larval circuits as necessary for surviving and functioning in a terrestrial human society. Leary proposed that the higher 4 exist primarily for future use by humans who might someday migrate to outer space and live extraterrestrially. Leary, Ali, and Wilson have written about the model in depth and how each circuit operates, both in the lives of individual people and in societies. The term circuits came from the first wave of cybernetics research and development in the United States in the 1970s. Others have proposed that the term systems should be substituted for circuits to reflect both a systems theory approach and also the changing anatomy of an entity as it goes through a neurological change. Each successive circuit represents a more complex phase of evolution. In line with recapitulation theory, the model applies equally to the evolution of an individual organism and the evolution of the whole tree of life. Each neurological circuit provides a new cognitive function, whether or not the organism is aware of the circumstances that led to its activation. The 8 circuits. Number 1, the oral biosurvival circuit. This circuit is concerned with nourishment, physical safety, comfort and survival, suckling and cuddling, etc. This circuit is activated in adults by opioids. Such as heroin. This circuit begins with one spatial dimension, forward, back. This circuit is imprinted in early infancy. The imprint will normally last for life unless it is re-imprinted by a powerful experience. Depending on the nature of the imprint, the organism will tend towards one of 2 basic attitudes. A positive imprint sets up a basic attitude of trust. The organism generally considers the environment benign and accepts and approaches. This is equivalent to a default life position of "you're okay" in the life positions model of transactional analysis. A negative imprint sets up a basic attitude of suspicion. The organism generally regards the environment as hostile and flees and avoids. This is equivalent to a default life position of "you're not okay" in the life positions model of transactional analysis. This circuit is said to have appeared in the earliest evolution of the invertebrate brain, and it corresponds to the reptilian brain of Truman brain theory. This theory operates in essentially the same way across mammals, reptiles, fish, primates, and humans. Robert Anton Wilson equated this circuit with the oral stage in the Freudian theory of psychosexual development. Number 2, the emotional territorial circuit. The emotional territorial circuit is imprinted in the toddler stage. It is concerned with domination and submission, territoriality, etc. The imprint on this circuit will trigger one of two states: dominant aggressive behavior. This imprint creates an alpha social attitude, equivalent to the top dog position in the model of Fritz Perls, to "I'm okay" in the life of positions model of transactional analysis, and to master morality in the model of Friedrich Nietzsche. Submissive cooperative behavior, equivalent to the bottom dog position in the model of Fritz Perls, to "I'm not okay" in the life positions model, and to Nietzsche and slave morality. This circuit is activated by large quantities of alcohol. This circuit appeared first in territorial vertebrate animals preserved across all mammals. It corresponds to the mammalian brain of Truman brain theory. Robert Anton Wilson equated this circuit with the anal stage in the Freudian theory of psychosexual development. This circuit introduces a second spatial dimension, up and down. The first and second circuits both imprint in a binary fashion: trust, suspicion, and dominance, submission. Thus there are 4 possible ways of imprinting the first 2 stages: trusting first circuit and dominant second circuit, "I'm okay, you're okay," friendly strength in the interpersonal circumplex, fire in the 4 elements model, sanguinary in the 4 humors model. Next is trusting first circuit and submissive second circuit: "I'm not okay, you're okay," friendly weakness, water in the 4 elements model, phlegmatic humor. Next after that is the suspicious first circuit and dominant second circuit: "I'm okay, you're not okay," unfriendly strength, air in the 4 elements model, bilious humor. Last is suspicious first circuit and submissive second circuit: "I'm not okay, you're not okay," unfriendly weakness, earth in the 4 elements model, choleric humor. Number 3, the symbolic or neurosemantic dexterity circuit. This circuit is imprinted by human symbol systems. It is concerned with language, handling the environment, invention, calculation, prediction, building a mental map of the universe, and physical dexterity, etc. This circuit is activated by stimulant drugs such as methamphetamine and cocaine. This circuit supposedly appears first when hominids started differentiating from the rest of the primates. Robert Anton Wilson, being heavily influenced by general semantics, writes of this circuit as the time-bending circuit. This means that this circuit's contents, including human know-how, technology, and science, etc., are preserved and passed on from generation to generation, constantly mutating and increasing in sophistication. Number 4, the domestic or sociosexual circuit. This 4th circuit is imprinted by the first orgasm mating experiences and tribal morals. It is concerned with sexual pleasure instead of sexual reproduction, local definitions of moral and immoral, reproduction, nurture of the young, etc. It is basically concerned with cultural values and operating within social networks. This circuit is said to have first appeared with the development of tribes. Leary never associated a drug with it, but some have pointed out that the entactogens such as MDMA seem to meet some of the requirements needed to activate this circuit. 5. The neurosomatic circuit. This circuit is concerned with neurological somatic feedbacks, feeling high and blissful, somatic reprogramming, etc. It may be called the rapture circuit. When this circuit is activated, a non-conceptual feeling of well-being arises. This has a beneficial effect on the health of the physical body. Triggering this effect is the aim of mind-body healing systems such as Christian Science and faith healing. The Fifth Circuit is consciousness of the body. There is a marked shift from linear visual space to an all-encompassing aesthetic sensory space. Perceptions are judged not so much for their meaning and utility, but for their aesthetic qualities. A hedonistic turn-on occurs, a rapturous amusement, a detachment from the previously compulsive mechanism of the first four circuits. This circuit is activated by ecstatic experiences via physiological effects of cannabis, hatha yoga, tantra, and Zen meditation. Robert Anton Wilson writes, Tantra yoga is concerned with shifting consciousness entirely into this circuit, and that prolonged sexual play without orgasm always triggers some Circuit 5 consciousness. Leary describes that this circuit first appeared in the upper classes with the development of leisure class civilizations around 2000 BC. Number 6. The neuroelectric or metaprogramming circuit. Note, Timothy Leary lists this circuit as the 6th and the neurogenetic circuit as the 7th in his first book on the idea, Exopsychology. Robert Anton Wilson reverses the order of these two circuits so that the neurogenetic circuit is the 6th and the metaprogramming circuit is the 7th. Leary agreed with this analysis and updated his book, Creating Infopsychology. This circuit is concerned with re-imprinting and reprogramming all earlier circuits and the relativity of realities perceived. This 6th circuit consists of the nervous system becoming aware of itself. Leary says this circuit enables telepathic communication and is activated by low to moderate doses of LSD, moderate doses of peyote, and psilocybin mushrooms. This circuit is traced by Leary back to 500 BC. 7. The neurogenetic or morphogenetic circuit. This circuit is the connection of the individual's mind to the whole sweep of evolution and life as a whole. It is the part of consciousness that echoes the experiences of the previous generations that have brought the individual's brain mind to its present level. It deals with ancestral, societal, scientific, DNA-RNA brain feedbacks. Those who achieve this mutation may speak of past lives, reincarnation, and immortality, etc. It corresponds to the collective unconscious in the models of Carl Jung, where archetypes reside. Activation of this circuit may be equated with consciousness of the great god Pan in his aspect of life as a whole, or with consciousness of Gaia, the biosphere considered as a single organism. This circuit is activated by regular doses of LSD, higher doses of peyote, higher doses of psilocybin mushrooms, yoga, and meditation. This circuit first appeared among the Hindus in the early first millennium and later appeared among the Sufi sects. Number 8. The psychoatomic or quantum non-local circuit. The 8th circuit is concerned with quantum consciousness, non-local awareness, information from beyond ordinary space-time awareness, which is limited by the speed of light, and illumination. Some of the ways this circuit can get activated are the awakening of Kundalini, shock, a near-death experience, etc. This circuit has even been compared to the Buddhist concept of Indra's net from the Avamasaka Sutra. This circuit is activated by DMT, ketamine, and high doses of LSD, over 1,000 micrograms. Leary's formulations. Although Leary propounded the basic premise of 8 brains or brain circuits, he was inspired by sources such as the Hindu chakra system. His most direct inspiration was received in the form of a document from a student of yoga, a pamphlet containing 24 different pages, with 3-page subdivisions, each corresponding to a particular yogic energy. Leary then translated this and expanded it into a 24-stage model of evolution, and eventually streamlined it into the 8-circuit model of consciousness. With this, Leary created his umbrella model, which others have expanded on. As one grows from infancy, the circuits are activated in turn, as described by Jean Piaget. Leary thought that the first 4 circuits reside in the left hemisphere of the brain, or the cerebrum. The later 4 were said to reside in the right hemisphere. An underutilized lower circuit hinders the complete expression of a higher circuit. It would thus become necessary for a person to fully experience, integrate, and embody the survival circuits in order to withstand the shock that accompanies the activation of the post-survival circuits. One observation based on this model is about entities such as angels, extraterrestrials, and deities, etc. According to one school of thought, these entities reported by 8-circuit visionaries are members of races already evolved to this level. Leary claimed that among other things this model explained the social conflict in the 60s, where the mainstream was said to be those with 4 circuits active and characterized by Leary as tribal moralists, and clashed with the counterculturalists, who were then said to be those with 5 circuits active and characterized as individualists and hedonists. Leary's first book on the subject, Neurologic, only included 7 circuits when it was published in 1973. Exopsychology, published in 1977, expanded the number of circuits to 8 and clarified the subject. It was republished as revised by Timothy Leary with additional material in 1989 under the title Infopsychology. Leary theorized that until recently in human development, these higher circuits have remained dormant within the brain. Other authors on the 8 circuits. Leary's ideas heavily influenced the work of Robert Anton Wilson. Wilson's book Prometheus Rising is an in-depth work documenting Leary's 8-circuit model of consciousness. Wilson's published screenplay Reality is What You Can Get Away With also uses and explains the model. Wilson, like Leary, wrote about the distinction between terrestrial and post-terrestrial life. He gave each circuit a much more specific location in various regions of the brain than Leary did. The model is fairly predominant in chaos magic. This concept has been detailed in Chaotopia by Dave Lee, a leading member of the Magic Society Illuminates of Thanateros. Although both Leary and Wilson were members of this group near the end of their lives, the circuit design clearly predates this organization. Angel Tech by Antero Ali is structured around the 8-circuit model. In the book, the first 4 circuits are associated with robotic, tech aspects of humanity, and the final 4 are related to the angelic nature. It includes suggested activities such as meditations and construction of tarot card collages associated with each circuit. Rolf von Eckartsburg also appears to have been influenced by the model. Bruce Schofield has written about the correlations of the model with astrology. Resonances between planetary cycles and the birthday are suggested to be triggers that open temporary windows of imprint vulnerability. The moon is correlated with the biosurvival period, Mars with the emotional terrestrial stage, Mercury with the rational mind, and Venus with the sociosexual stage. These are initiated respectively at birth, at the 2nd birthday, at age 3.5, and at age 8, at which times the Moon, Mars, Mercury, and Venus return to their birth positions, or are in phase with it. The other 4 circuits are considered to be octaves of the first 4. I'd now like to go over some related documents to support our theory. This is a news article from UPI.com's technology section entitled Technology Has Spawned a New Brain. December 15, 2012, Rome, Italy. Technology has changed the way people think, creating a new brain, 2 Italian psychology experts say. Psychologist Maria Beatrice Togo, who collaborated with psychotherapist Tonino Cantimi on a new book released Friday, Techno-Liquidity, postulates entertainment technology such as video games has triggered an evolutionary leap just like the written word 3,000 years ago. It has changed our memory. Our brain has lost certain connections, the Italian news agency ANSA quoted Togo as saying. Some circuits have been lost and others have developed. Circuits that are more closely linked to perception. The human brain has not changed on an anatomical level, but it now works differently. It is a new brain, and the protagonists of this historic step, The ones with a new brain are the children and adolescents of today. In my opinion, this article is a great example of how Leary was years ahead of his time. Not only with the references to brain circuitry, but Leary also advocated the use of personal computers to create our own realities and change the way our brains function. This is a circuit distribution chart as adapted from Prometheus Rising by Robert Anton Wilson. It describes the distribution of human population throughout the 8 circuits. Circuit 1, the physical circuit, and Circuit 2, the emotional circuit. 50% of the human race has not evolved fully into the 3rd circuit yet. That is, although they can exchange primitive signals and handle primitive artifacts, they are still mostly operating on the mammalian emotional circuit and the pre-mammalian biosurvival circuit. Circuit 3, the mental circuit, and Circuit 4, the social circuit. 20% are responsible, intelligent adults with fully developed 3rd and 4th circuits. They spend most of their time worrying because the predominantly primate parameters of human society seem absurd, immoral, and increasingly dangerous to them. Wilson also made reference to the idea of chapel perilous, the notion of a purgatory of sorts that exists in between the lower and upper circuits, described as the place souls go after leaving their robot bodies, while these bodies are still alive and walking the planet's surface. Also known as the dark night of the soul, it can also be seen as a negative activation of the neurosomatic circuit, which is endured for as long as it takes the neophyte to effect a positive activation or permanent body rapture. Circuit 5, the body. 20% are neurosomatic adepts. 4th circuit moralists denounce them as mystics, space cases, nuts, the me generation, or irresponsible hedonists, etc. Circuit 6, the mind circuit. 5% have mastered the metaprogramming circuit. They make up what Gurdjieff called the conscious circle of humanity. They are Freemasons, in the original meaning of the debased term, co-creators of future realities. Circuit 7, the life circuit. 3% have neurogenetic consciousness. They function as evolutionary agents, servants of the life force, in Shaw's terminology. Their god is Pan, life, and their goal is immortality. Circuit 8, the energy circuit. 2% are neuroquantum adepts, beyond space-time categories entirely. As previously stated, Dr. Timothy Leary went so far as to compare the 24 mini-circuits with the 12 signs of the zodiac, cycling through the zodiac twice, once for the lower 4 circuits and once for the upper 4 circuits. Each mini-circuit is compared with a different sign of the zodiac and is described as follows. The first circuit, Phase 1, is Pisces and is described as peaceful. Phase 2 is Aries and described as preparing. Phase 3 is Taurus and described as exploring. Circuit 2, Phase 1, is Gemini and described as learning. Phase 2 is Cancer, described as selfish. And Phase 3 is Leo, described as social. The third circuit, first phase, is Virgo and described as impressionable or easily swayed. The second phase is Libra, described as creative. The third phase, Scorpio, is described as hostile. The fourth circuit, Phase 1, is Sagittarius and is described as outwardly expanding. Phase 2 is Capricorn and is described as prepared. Phase 3 is Aquarius and described as working class. Moving into the upper circuits, Circuit 5, Phase 1, is Pisces, described as egotistical. Phase 2, Aries, is explained as moving away from the self. Phase 3 is Taurus and is described as having DNA awareness. Circuit 6, Phase 1, is Gemini and is described as beginning the sixth sense. Phase 2 is Cancer, having authority and leadership. Phase 3 is Leo, having telepathic abilities. Circuit 7, Phase 1, is Virgo, understanding the past. Phase 2 is Libra, described as shamanic, and Phase 3 is Scorpio, described as the connected outcast. Circuit 8, Phase 1 is Sagittarius, described as having metaphysical reception. Phase 2 is Capricorn with the power of omnipotence, and Phase 3 is Aquarius with the power of universal fusion. This is an article from deoxy.org regarding the eightfold model of human consciousness. Various charts and tabular representations of the human energy octave from the works of Leary, Wilson, Ali, Gurdjieff, and even Gene Roddenberry. A message is the ordering of a signal. This message is the framework of an alternative education system, one which arranges living planetary systems into meaningful messages. These signals come in octaves, or cycles of 8. Languages throughout history have translated these signals as the overtones of music theory, the DNA code, the I Ching of ancient China, computer binary notation, the 8 Mayan calendars, the game of chess with its 8x8 playing board, and other interpretations of the universal law of octaves. This is a chart from Dr. Leary's 1979 book, The Game of Life. It describes additional labels for the 8 levels of intelligence. Here we have a similar chart from Antero Ali's 1987 book, Angel Tech. Here we have a creative look at Gene Roddenberry's Star Trek from Robert Anton Wilson's 1995 book, Cosmic Trigger. As we can see, many different adjectives can be used to describe these 8 different phases of human psychology. Here we have an image of the 7-level chakra system. Dr. Leary claimed it was this system that first influenced him to formulate the 8-circuit model of human consciousness. Each of these 7 chakras are said to have a tie to the 8 circuits, with the 8th circuit being the out-of-body circuit. Connections can also be found with the 8-circuit model and the 8 limbs of yoga, also practiced by the Hindu, with obvious correlations being apparent. And finally, we see a layout here of the Tree of Life from ancient Hebrew mysticism, with comparisons to the 8-circuit model as well. As we can see, these and no doubt many other spiritual belief systems also use 8-fold models to explain and guide their practices. This concludes part 2 of our presentation. Please stay tuned for part 3, where we'll explore the practical applications of the 8-circuit model.